Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to show you a quick and simple card today. I made this as a part of the MFT summer school program. This is an educational series that MFT hosts every year, and I'll be using my stamp press, a black ink, and I'll be using a stamp set called the Buildable Bouquet by MFT. This has a lot of beautiful flowers which you can put together to create bouquets and different arrangements. My first step is I want to stamp a whole lot of these images and then die cut them. The easiest way I've found to do this is I pick out a number of images and put them on a plain piece of white cardstock, and then I will stamp all of them at one go with a black ink. And I will basically make prepare three strips like that. So I have plenty of flowers and leaves to work with. So I'm just stacking them, arranging them on this white strip of paper. When you keep putting the stamps on paper like that, just make sure you leave a little space in between them, because the dies will cut a white border around each image, and if you place them too close together, you might just start cutting into adjoining images. So now let's ink up the stamps. I'm using the black My ink, the jet black ink, because I like this ink because it's a dye ink and it dries very fast and gives a very nice crisp impression. This ink is also very safe if you are planning to use your alcohol markers, which was my original plan. So that is the first strip is done now. I made a total of 3 strips because I wanted to have enough flowers to go around. And I again also made 3 strips with some leaves and buds on it. Of course, I didn't use up all the images. These are all the ones which I have. The rest of them I'll just save for another card. Now I eventually decided to use my zigs to do the coloring, and the first thing I did when I got my zigs was create a color chart for it. This makes it very easy to select the colors which I want to use. So I just go through the chart, and now I'm going to choose 2 shades of green, because I'll start with the leaves first. And one more thing, I have this set of 60 zigs. So I have arranged them in the same order that the shades are noted down on my shade card. So it makes it very easy for me to find each pen at a time. Otherwise it takes too much time, you have to keep removing the entire lot and just hunt through it. So now I've taken out 2 shades of green. The way I use my zigs is I put a little bit of the darker color in the lower part of the leaf, and then I immediately come with the lighter green and I spread the color. This helps blend the colors very quickly, and this is a very easy way of doing it. Zigs are of course watercolor markers, so you can always use water as well to blend it, but I find this way of doing it goes faster, and I also get very intense colors with this. If you use water normally, it will dilute the colors. If you work fast enough, in fact, you can put the darker color down, because zigs basically take a little longer to dry. They don't get absorbed in the paper immediately, and what I'm using is not watercolor paper, it's just regular plain cardstock. So I put the darker green, and then I can just go over it with the lighter green, blending the shades together. If I want, I can always come back with the darker shade and add a little more color towards the bottom. So you can see how quickly this goes. You can have all your images colored very fast, and sometimes you can also color a lot of them, some extras, and keep them and use them for other cards, which is exactly what I did, as you will see in the future. So there my first sprig is colored, and you can see how pretty it looks. Of course, this is very simple coloring. There is no fancy coloring involved. Now moving on, I did the same thing for the flowers. I chose 2 shades of pink and a purple for the flower, and I'm just putting the darker shade, the darker pink at the bottom of the petal, and then blending it upwards with the lighter pink. I just love the bright, intense color which this gives my flower. So I'm basically going to continue coloring all my flowers in the same manner. The concept that today's class is going to teach is the concept of a visual triangle, and I wanted to create 3 bunches of flowers and leaves and arrange them in a triangular pattern on the card. So now I'm taking the darker pink and purple and coloring the smaller flowers with that. The other 2 flowers were just too tiny, honestly, for any shading. So I just took different shades of pink there. You can see the 2 flowers which I've colored. And then I used an orange on the outer circle and the golden yellow for the center of the flower. For the sentiment, I wanted an ombre effect. So I've taken a strip of paper and I'm using the Smile word die by Lilinka, and I'm just going to cut my paper to fit the die. And now I also have the same shades of pink and purple. This is an old magazine which I keep handy whenever I want to do any coloring or inking. And once the page is covered with color, I simply tear it off and move on to a fresh page. So now I've put purple at the bottom. I'll go on with the dark pink. And blending this is very easy. Zigs are very, very easy to blend. And now I will just put the lightest pink and finish this up. So I get a lovely gradation of purple to light pink with a beautiful ombre effect. One suggestion I would make is to just let this piece dry a little bit or hit it with a heat tool, because if you die cut it immediately, your paint might smear or it might get on your die. So now I've finished the die. I've cut the word sentiment, and I'll just poke the paper out because it's sticking to my die. Just be gentle when you tug it out, because if you're too rough with it, it'll tear. And see, now you can see the beautiful ombre effect which I'm getting on the sentiment. So there is my sentiment, and the rest of the images which I colored, you can see them. I've die cut all of them. I've also die cut a few of the word dies out of white paper, because I want to layer that up and make it into a, give it some thickness. So I will just stick the layers with normal glue, stack the dies, and I just put the colored piece on top and I'll leave it to dry. Okay, moving on, I decided to put this on a speckled card base. This is a cream card base with tiny speckles of brown on it. I just wanted to add a little bit of texture to the background. So I've used some brown dyeing by mine, and I'm just using a brush to flick some paint over my background. I didn't use black because I didn't want an extremely bold splattering effect. This sort of a light effect just suits me fine. So I allowed that to dry, and now I'm just laying out my dies and just trying to get the whole design in my mind. Like I said, the idea is to create a visual triangle. So what I'm planning to do is arrange uh, all the elements in groups of 3 around the card. So the large leaves and the sentiment, I'm going to stick it down immediately. The leaves are also, I'm gluing them directly to the card base, not popping them up in any way. The leaves give me the basic guideline on where I want the placement to be. And now I'll just take pieces of foam tape and start adhering it to the back of my die cuts. We need tiny pieces for this. So there, I have my 3 flowers ready and I will just glue them down now. I'm making no effort to make each bouquet look exactly the same, because I think if they look a little different, it will just add to the design. I'm coming in with the smaller flowers now. These again, I will pop them up with some foam tape. The smallest, I have 2 sizes of flowers left now. One are really tiny and the others are slightly larger. So the slightly larger ones I saved and I created another card with them. And the really tiny ones, I'm gluing them directly. What I'm doing is just putting tiny dots of glue on my card base. And then I just place the small flowers over it. Our floral bunches are ready and the card is also almost ready. Now all I need to do is trim off that little bit of a stem which is sticking out on the side. That I just did it with my scissors. Whenever you do this, just make sure that your glue has dried, because otherwise your elements might shift. Now I just thought that this card needed a little something. I just love the bright colors and the way those flowers look, but I decided to round the corners. So I took my corner punch by Dress My Craft. I just love this corner punch because it gives me 3 sizes and it literally just cuts through anything that I use. So I'm using the largest rounder and I just rounded the 2 bottom corners of the card. And there, our card is absolutely ready now. I hope you enjoyed this card and enjoyed the process also, and I hope you consider subscribing. Thank you and bye.